to bargaining. I think we had a pretty productive session the last time, and so before we get started today, I just wanted to make sure Suzanne amended the minutes and supplied those to you with the attendance, and so just wanted to make sure you approved the minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We approved. And did you guys have anything for minutes?
I didn't see that.
We got them last session.
Oh, the last time, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There were just some attendance issues, but we got them worked out. The opening session. Yes,
Yes.
betrayal. So we will approve the minutes for the previous meeting at the next meeting, if that makes sense. Kind of like when we
It
do
makes
board
sense, how
meetings.
do we still remember
Like when we do board meetings.
peanuts, doesn't matter.
So, yeah, and Charter had mentioned at the last meeting that there was a few edits. So it was edited for the Sika,
Yes.
Go and the bus and sent to you. And again, it was I think the only edits were on the attendance.
That's it,
Okay.
just people.
Okay, excellent. And then we do have, so you're good with approving the minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then we have the sign-in sheet going around, and I'm gonna pass the last session's meeting minutes out as well.
Thank you.
Right now. Very good. Yeah. So Charter, did you wanna go ahead and start?
Yes, sure,
All right.
absolutely. You should have the proposal in front of you guys. Sue did a great job at making sure you got that. You just sign here real quick. Okay, Dawn, if you're ready, I'm ready.
I am.
So the first proposal we have for you, well, one, let me say thank you for providing us a printer. That was a huge help. I actually have been racking my brain on setting up my own personal printers, and I finally got one. But came in, it was nice to see you guys already made one for us, so thank you so much.
That was all Suzanne, so.
She's awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. We got your counters, we're still reviewing those, so we don't have any of your counters to come back with yet. We do have two proposals that we pulled last time that we held off on, I should say, and we're ready to bring those forward to you today. The first one is Article 19, and that is gonna be SEA proposal number 6. I'll just read through it. It may seem like a lot, but I'll read it for you. If you have any questions, please ask. The first one has to do with the Insurance and Wellness Selection Committee. The committee, we understand what the committee does, all those things. We added a sentence at the bottom there that says, implementation of the committee's recommendations shall be subject to collective bargaining. And then the next line, we're still in section A. We go down to A6, and we added A6, it's added it after 5. The Insurance and Wellness Selection Committee is charged with making recommendations to the superintendent and the SEA. This committee shall not circumvent the bargaining process and instead shall be a collaborative process. Any recommendations from this committee will be subject to established negotiating procedures, and any increase to the employee paid premium, deductible, and/or out-of-pocket maximum shall be collectively bargained. That's all we had for section A, and we move down to section B. Section B 1 through 5 was good for us, and then 6.
Wait, oh, you had to change, B 1 through 5, sorry, I'm on 6.
Yeah.
Forgive me, sorry.
No, you're fine. B6, we kept the sentence there, we just changed the days. We changed it from 60 to 30 calendar days. We did a little bit of preliminary research on our own and found that the effective date for many organizations is 30 days after the start, so we're hopeful that you can look at that. The next item is I. The rest of B through H are current contract language. And then we get to I, and we have bereavement pay. So I'll read this to you. Employees will receive 5 days of paid leave with the loss of an immediate family member. Bereavement leave refers to any death of immediate family members such as spouses, children, parents, siblings, or members of the employee's household. And then if you see I just made us change the numbering for the sections. We didn't have any changes to the sections, but to get them in line with our new I would be J, K, L, and M. And then finally on proposal number 6, we talked about this at the last session with SCA in 2020. We still are of the opinion that we want to change retirement terminal pay to just terminal pay. So you can see we struck retirement in the first paragraph there, and then the second paragraph, or at least paren 1 or number 1, upon an official retirement drop date, exit, or termination date, we added that. And we changed the days to hours for each of the sections there. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
I'll go back to the front. And again, I know we discussed this last year at bargaining time, and I went through the, kind of like the timeline of what the insurance committee does. And so by the time, our broker works through all the renewals, and we start going through all the plan design changes, that doesn't get to the insurance committee until, I wanna say, let's see, what month are we in, we're in May. So, it was late in March, early April, okay, and then they had a month, the insurance committee, to review it. It still has to go to joint work session at the end of May. During the summer, we're creating the books, the guidebooks that have to go to print to be ready for, annual enrollment in October. Okay, so the time, and I can go back and really spell it out for you guys again.
Sure.
I can come back next week with that.
Mhm.
But any type of negotiating of that is going to delay the process of getting things implemented for a 1/1 effective date.
Okay.
So for benefits to be effective on 1/1, for us to have the guidebooks ready for annual enrollment, it is all very time sensitive. And
Sure.
and we definitely discussed it the last time, last
did.
year. So I just wanted to remind you of, we have the insurance committee meetings. We have a really good group of committee members. We have very ample representation on the union side. It's 6 union members versus 3 administrators that are voting on these items. So it is representation of your group that,
Yes, ma'am.
that goes through that. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And, so again, not to say that we're not gonna look at it, but just wanted to remind you why the things are in place and how time sensitive everything is.
Excuse me, Dawn,
Uh-huh.
before you move on,
Mhm.
I'm just curious, what in this language makes you think that you're not gonna be able to keep the same time frame that you always have?
Well, because we're bargaining right now, and so the time we get done bargaining, we have to wait for you to ratify and for us to have board approval, which won't happen until the fall, when school comes back.
Mhm.
We have to have our guidebooks done before then. We have to have our renewals to the board before then. All of those things happen now. They're all going to the board. As soon as that May joint work session happens, we're sending things to the board to have our renewals get approved, to have everything, rates, all of that stuff is getting approved so that we can start working on the guidebooks, because we can't work on anything until, so we're working on that, and we have those finalized probably by August, and then to get set to print, because by September, we're having our information sessions and ready for annual enrollment, and we're giving it to, employees as they're coming in, they get the old and the new. But all of those changes that occur, we're not gonna ratify in time. It absolutely will not ratify in time for us to have those changes ready to have an annual enrollment for October, to have things effective for 1/1. It's impossible, so.
Impossible.
Well, if we're
With this
bargaining
smart
right
group
now,
here? Nothing's impossible.
I'm saying it's impossible in the sense if we're bargaining right now, we would have to finish bargaining and ratify on your side and board approve on our side at this time frame of the year to make that happen. So if we push our bargaining back, then we don't know what's happening in legislative session, we don't know what's happening with the legislative budget. There's all those unknowns, so we can't push back. Otherwise, we'll be pushing then forward. Everything we do for benefits is going forward for the next calendar year. So we don't run fiscal, we run calendar year, so we have to have everything ready. Again, I'm happy to spell it all out. If you can think of a creative way that we can make sure that legislation and legislative session is ended ended and we kind of know where the budget's at and we can meet all those, I mean, certainly, I'm happy to talk about anything. I'm just letting you know, it's very time sensitive on our end, and I feel the committee's doing really great work. I mean, if you could have been at the last committee meeting with what Kim Dansrow brought forward and TJ and Judy, I mean, like, they really know their stuff, and they're doing a really great job representing SEA and the members that they serve, and I say that with, you know, wholeheartedly. I mean, just super impressive, and so they know their stuff, so I feel like it's circumventing the great work, because it takes a lot to really understand the benefits and the impact, and the fact that they have to look at how it's affecting their members, and they always have their members, you know, on the forefront, and the fiscal responsibility we have to the district at the same time. So it is a balancing act, and it's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of work that they're already doing. I'm concerned about meeting timelines if it goes into then bargaining and being able to, because we cannot ratify during the summer. We have to ratify in the fall when the teachers come back and the employees come back, so it'll push us back.
That's our problem. I know what they do. There are people, I know what they do it all. We feel that insurance is a benefit, we should be subject to bargaining. That's what we're gonna get to, okay?
So if you would, Dawn, I think it'd be great if we could see it. Because you just explained it. Hopefully it doesn't cost too much time, but if you could put that together so we could see the time frame.
I said, I had that the last bargaining session last year, I can bring it back.
Yeah.
I'll just have to pull it back up.
Yeah, please, and then that'll help us kind of look through it ourselves on our end.
Sounds good. And then just kind of talking about, we'll have to discuss, number 6, and the reason why is that's, you know, time frame with the amount of staff we have. Again, in the benefits department, there's 4 benefits specialists, doing the enrollment. And again, so you have that piece, but then there's also a fiscal piece to it. So that's 1 more month of insurance the board would be paying, times approximately, and forgive me if I overstate, but about 500 hires times approximately $800 to $900 per member. So that's a good $400,000 in salary, or out of the salary pot that would be used toward that. So we would have to look at the fiscal impact to that.
Okay.
And then, I think that's all the questions I have. Mark, do you have anything additional? Okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so next we have SCA proposal number 7, Article 34. Again, there's a couple sections that are changed and some that are just staying the same, so I'll try to go through it in order here. On A through E of this article, we're keeping it current contract language. We get to F, and we want to see that any extracurricular activities are voluntary. So the line says, teacher participation in extracurricular activities shall be voluntary. We struck the line where it says if no teacher volunteers, the principal may assign teachers. So we'd like to see it more traditionally, being more traditional voluntary basis. G through J is current contract language, and then we get to K. We're dealing with reprimands involving the teachers. Professional ability, character, or integrity shall be conducted in private. And if teachers are going to be taken out for any inquiries or anything like that from their classroom, it has to be an emergency situation, meaning that students are in jeopardy, some threat to students. Next, section L through O, we said we're going to keep the current, we're good with current contract language, and then we get to P. I'll read it to you here. The principal may delegate to any teacher the responsibility for the control and direction of the students of the school. Distribution of these duties among teachers available at the designated time will be equitable. Teachers will not be delegated this responsibility during their plan time. So we already know that their plan time is theirs, and we're asking that it be recognized in this section as well. Then you get to section Q and R, which are current contract language. S, teachers, we've stricken the second part of this sentence. We would like it to just say, teachers shall not be required to check for head lice. Then you get to T, and we're talking about the verbal abuse from parents or any other verbal abuse that the parent or that the teacher could fear when meeting with parents. We'd like it that the teacher may instead we'd like to add that the teacher may request representation during the parent meetings. And that is the last part of that one. Any questions?
I don't have any questions on that, do you? Alright, we just have one, we
Okay.
also, so the, oh, did you have something else?
No, ma'am, no,
Okay.
that's it.
So, I know that we were gonna come back on SEA proposal 4, we're not ready to respond to that one, that was
Mhm.
on, Article 16, leave and temporary duty, so
Yeah.
we're not ready for that quite yet. We do have one board proposal number 1.
Madam?
Okay, and basically, this is out of Appendix B, and it's under supplements, and so all the other supplements would remain the same. And so what we would like to do is, under volleyball, is increase the supplement to $3,061 for the head coach, and increase the assistant coach up to $2,355. And the reason why we wanna do it is because the length of the season for volleyball is the same length of season as like track and water polo, so we wanted to align the supplements to match the length of weeks of the season, so that it would be comparable to the other sports. As far as beach volleyball, we wanna add a supplement for a head coach for beach volleyball for $2,119, and again, that number is coming from like sports with the same length of season. The reason why we wanna add that is it's a sanctioned FSHAA sport, and so we wanna make sure that we had a supplement for that coach. And as far as the slow pitch softball, that is not a sanctioned sport under FSHAA, excuse me, and so we wanna remove those supplements. So basically, these would be a wash, those supplements compared to taking a softball slow pitch out. A lot of schools don't have the slow pitch. And it doesn't mean that they couldn't continue to have it if they wanted it, but they would use their flex supplements or discretionary supplements for those coaches if they chose to do so. But again, it's not a sanctioned sport, and a lot of they even have a hard time finding players for it because they have fast pitch softball. So it's no additional cost or loss, no additional cost to the district, no loss to the employees on this supplement. It's just a wash.
So how many schools do we know have beach volleyball? Do all of our high schools, or?
They're going to all have them because it's a new, basically what Don said, FHSAA has added beach volleyball as a high school
Okay.
sport.
This year.
And so all your high schools are gonna have that sport this year.
Slow pitch softball is basically a club.
Yeah, slow pitch softball is a club. They're basically originally that got put in there because of Title IX, back when we were doing some equity stuff. But they'll still be able to have that if they wanted to. They'll just use discretionaries or some other type of supplement.
Okay.
But this would align with, and the season length, the reason why we're adjusting volleyball, if you remember a few years ago when we did supplements, and we were trying, remember we aligned all this, somehow, I don't know if they changed the length or what, but when you look at it, the length doesn't align.
Yeah.
So the athletic director said these need to be adjusted to be in line with the sports of the same length. And the beach volleyball is really aligned with like tennis, because their sport length is about the same. But when you subtract out what was budgeted for slow pitch softball and what will be used to increase volleyball and cover the one coach for beach volleyball, it's basically a wash. There is no impact to the budget of the district.
Is that new sport this year or last year or?
Jordan, they didn't do this coming school year, beach volleyball,
Yeah, this coming school year.
this coming
It's gonna
school
start
year.
this,
Correct.
Actually, I was gonna text my AD just to get an official count on how many high schools are participating in it. I think all of them are.
You had mentioned fast pitch softball. I don't see that here. Where does that come on?
It's not
It's
listed.
in the appendix B.
Yeah, we always have it, we've had fast pitch softball.
We only just.
And it still exists, we only listed the ones that were being impacted.
That's-
Oh, as-
That's what they're
okay.
gonna use,
You got
they're
some-
getting
so
rid of
I
the
got
one
you.
that's on the next page.
And that's traditionally girls, right?
Yes. Just forgive me, I'm not from Florida. What's the difference, what is the difference between beach volleyball and volleyball gonna look like if I were to go to a game? Like, is one inside and one outside,
If
still
you
leave
watch,
that
if you
sounds?
watch Olympic volleyball, beach volleyball is outside in the sand.
In the same, yeah.
Traditional volleyball that you would play at the college level is indoors in a gym.
They're going
So is,
basketball courts.
so is beach volleyball, all schools are gonna have a sand pit, that's where it's gonna be played?
They will have access to the sand pit if they don't have one on campus.
Alright. Wow.
Any other questions?
And a lot of schools, James, just, you know, a lot of schools already have beach volleyball. It's like if you go behind Haggerty High School right now, drop down,
Right.
there's a beach volleyball pit there. A lot of high schools have had it. Even some middle schools. Back when I was at Jackson Heights years ago, we had one.
Nice.
That was long.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am, not.
All right, that's all we have. So I guess we will caucus and see you
Yeah.
back soon.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. Good seeing everyone.
I just turned the-
Byron.